what is being called a success is actually a very partial success. After all, we were technically the runner-ups in Delhi. Normally a party that gets this much of votes and seats should not draw this kind of attention. The reason why we looked like successful is that more than an electoral victory, it was a moral victory. It was a political breakthrough. Moral victory in that it achieved what people thought was impossible, namely that a party that did not have the kind of resources, the kind of clout, the kind of patronage, the kind of organizational strength, and which did not use caste community identities, could actually make a dent, could make an entry into mainstream politics. Given the very high threshold of viability, given the very high entry barriers in politics, that a rank outsider could enter without using any of these dirty tricks, that I think was important. So the large message is that democratic politics still is a space where a newcomer can enter, where honest and straightforward means can be deployed, where a change, where alternatives can be tried out. There are lots and lots of challenges. Politics is such a difficult business. I was aware of that, but I must say I'm far more acutely conscious of the difficulties of what it means to do politics today than I had a year ago. First of all, we have a strange problem. You know, there are parties which have leaders but which don't have supporters. We are a party which has a vast pool of potential support and sympathy, but we actually do not have ready-made leaders at the local level. Strangely, it is a party which is searching for local talent, local leadership. There is, of course, lots of leadership which is available, and that's our second challenge. So on the one hand, we have to search for talent, leaders, people who can organize, who are natural leaders of society and who share that ethical core, those principles that we believe in. Secondly, we also have the challenge of filtering a lot of muck that has come our way. You know, when you face this kind of flood, flood carries with it water, it also carries a lot of junk with it. So how do we filter the junk out? At the moment when our stock appears to be high, all kinds of elements driven purely by ambition and others would come our way. They do not necessarily share our ideology. They do not share the goals that we want to work towards. So how do we weed them out? That's our second challenge. Third challenge is how do we evolve a policy program? Given that we come from very different directions, we have worked out some shared canons, but within those shared convictions, how exactly do we translate that into something like a national manifesto, which is a major step for a party to be taken. So, and then how does that manifesto or how does that platform speak to the very diverse social groups which have come out to support us? We are not a party of any one section of society. We are a party which has had cross-sectional support, cutting across classes, cutting across social groups. So how do we mediate between competing claims of each of these sections? That is our challenge. How do we so rapidly create organizational structures in such a short span of time? That is challenge. I mean, honestly, all I can think of are endless challenges right now. the one thing that strikes me almost every day is how big is the opportunity and how small are we, those set of individuals who happen to be at the it's located at the eye of the opportunity. How small we are in terms of our understanding, in terms of our vision, in terms of our heart. So we need to become, so all of us need to become bigger than we are. More than specific issues, I think 2014 is about what kind of political change that we want to see in India. Political change people do want, because after the 10-year incumbency of the UPA, there is not just disquiet, there is not just anti-incumbency, there is a deep sense of disgust with the regime that governs. I wouldn't be surprised if Congress ends up with the worst score in its history. So there is a deep disgust and desire for change. But what kind of change is the big question of 2014. On the one hand, we have change as substitute. Bharatiya Janata Party, which is the largest opposition, very large party in the country, represents substitution, which is to say the regime remains, the establishment remains the same in terms of its orientation and ideology, in terms of its political establishment remains like political establishment, but the face gets changed, a few symbolic things change, and certain set of specific policies also change. But in overall terms, it is the same political establishment which continues to rule. The other option is change as alternative. And I like to believe, you could say I'm biased, yes I am, I like to believe that Aam Aadmi Party represents an alternative. So the real question is, like it was in Delhi, in Rajasthan people did not have a choice. In Rajasthan it was the existing regime versus substitute. People opted for substitute. In Delhi they had a substitute versus an alternative, and we got a somewhat unclear verdict. But alternative got voted in ways which no one expected. At a national level, once we have that option posed, how would that be responded to? So for me, that more than any specific issues then follow from this. If you follow substitute, then you have one set of issues. If you go for alternative, you have another set of issues. But to me, this big choice will determine the outcome of 2014.